did it for me was when I left my body and I seen my physical body on the bed and I'm touching my hands and I'm like, okay, I really do exist outside of here. There's my physical body.
You can't unsee that, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's undeniable. It's like, okay, I'm still here. Astral projection and a full-blown out-of-body experience is drastically different. If you close your eyes, you see how you can see like some white spots and stuff. Well, I would envision these being stars and I would focus on one of them and I would envision me coming out through there. And then in about 5 or 10 minutes, I would actually feel my body being sucked out. A couple times I actually did go past there. It was some major experiences I was having. The first time it happened, I was in this all white space and it was so bright and such a loving feeling. It felt familiar. It felt as if I'd been there before, but I had no idea where I was.
Welcome to SoulPod, where science meets mysticism and your inner wisdom leads the way. Welcome back, light beings, to another episode of Soul Podcast. I'm Crystal, your host, and I am so excited for our guest today. He is, I think, a fellow star brother in a lot of ways. I resonate deeply with what he teaches, and we're going to dive into out-of-body experiences today. So if you've ever had any questions about that, this is the episode for you. And Andre, also known as the Alchemist 369, you can check out his YouTube channel, is an out-of-body explorer and teacher, and through direct experience with astral projection and conscious OBEs, out-of-body experiences, he reveals the deeper mechanics of consciousness and reality and helps people remember who it is they truly are. So welcome, Andre. I'm so honored to have you on the podcast today.
Yeah, thank you, Crystal. Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here, for sure.
And Andre is joining us from Bali, and so we might see a sunrise there behind him coming up. So it'll be a beautiful reveal here as things wake up where he is. So I want to go back a little bit, Andre, to who you were before you discovered out-of-body experiences. And what do you think, if anything, prepared you for having these experiences? Because I think a lot of people who haven't had them, and I've only had them, for context, I've only had them in the context of a near-death experience and sometimes in deep meditations. But I don't necessarily go out on my own conscious will. So I'm super curious, and I'm sure others listening would love to hear how you got into your first experience.
Yeah. So that's a good question, and that's a good starting place as well, because a lot of times people hear about out-of-body experiences and they just want to have one, but they don't understand, what it takes to do before you actually have one and where you need to be. So before I had an out-of-body experience, I was working as an engineer. I was always fascinated with consciousness, how strong my consciousness truly was, and how much knowledge I could gain. Knowledge was always always sought knowledge. And when I was younger, I remember reading Sylvia Browne books when I was like 8 or 9 years old, just being so fascinated with them. Like she was talking to her spirit guide, Francine. And I would actually try to speak to my spirit guides and things like that, And then later on in life, as I was a teenager and things, you get caught up in the matrix and this life here. And that kind of took a back seat, And then before I became an engineer, I got into manifestation, and like after COVID, around the COVID time, I found meditation. And that's when I really started to change my thinking and who I am by, getting out of the victim mentality and, and transferring into the creator mentality by reprogramming my thoughts. I analyzed my entire life, and I seen my part in everything that was in my life. I seen how I had a part in everything. So I took conscious responsibility for everything around me. Also, at this time, I started to become the best person that I could. I understood my feelings, my intuition. If it felt right, then it was right. If it felt wrong, it was wrong, you know? And every action I took made me feel good at this point. You know, I was doing some real inner work here for a long time, changing my thoughts. And along with me becoming a better person, I was also creating a better life around me because, you know, our external world is a direct reflection of our internal world. So, and I got into manifestation. You know, just all the spiritual teachers, they preach, you know, manifestation and things like that. So I started practicing this in my own life. And by rewiring my thoughts, feeling what I want, aligning my frequency with that of which I desired. And then along the way, I actually became an engineer in doing this. I had not had a degree yet. I did go to college right out of high school for 3 years studying economics. And then I had a kid, dropped out. And then later on, I sought to become an engineer. And I used, you know, manifestation and changing my inner world to do so. And once I became an engineer and I understood, okay, these manifestation things that I'm doing, they are real. And then this led me to believe, okay, well, what else is real? What else can I do? And then that's when I discovered astral projection. And initially, when I discovered astral projection, I was, you know, following like Robert Monroe and the Gateway tapes. And I was doing the Gateway tapes every night. You know, every night I was doing the Gateway tapes. And I never left consciously from the Gateway tapes, but what it allowed me to do was to strengthen my consciousness and my focus and my meditation skills to the point where I could leave my body very easily. And then from there, I took the term astral projection and was like, okay, what does it sound like? Well, it sounds like projecting my consciousness out. So I would literally lay there and focus for like 5 or 10 minutes, focusing on a single point with my eyes closed. I believe I heard a meditation technique where if you focus on your third eye or where it would be, and you can come out that way. So initially, that's what I was trying to do. And I would just focus on one dot. Like if you close your eyes, you see how you can see like some white spots and stuff. Well, I would envision these being stars, and I would focus on one of them, and I would envision me coming out through there. And then in about 5 or 10 minutes, I would actually feel my body being sucked out. Like it was very strong. Like it was hard for me to even stop it. Because I certainly, like the first 4 or 5 times I did this, I certainly stopped it because it was scary. Yeah. It was like, okay, all right, this is happening. I never felt these sensations before. It really feels like you're being sucked out and you don't know where you're going. You have no idea where you're going to end up. You hear all these stories and all the possibilities are endless, right? You're entering into the great unknown. Well, a couple times I actually did go past that. And then I was in like, it was some major experiences I was having. I was in this, the first time it happened, I was in this all white space and it was so bright and such a loving feeling. And it felt familiar. It felt as if I'd been there before, but I had no idea where I was. And then later on, you know, I now know where I was in that first experience. So that's kind of how it was happening for me. I was just having these and I had no idea where I was going or what I was doing. You know, that was my first introduction to full-blown out-of-body experiences. And before that, I was literally astral projecting before that. I just didn't really think it was that. I was out surfing with my consciousness and things like that. But this was like I was fully out and I had no idea where I was going. And around this time, my mom passed away and I was having sleep paralysis like 4 or 5 times a week, somewhere around there, for like 5 or 6 months. And I never correlated out-of-body experiences to sleep paralysis. Like I never understood that. And then that's when I found Darius Jay Wright online saying sleep paralysis is the gateway to the other side. So I found him, and then that's where it took me to another level, and I learned, okay, I learned other ways to leave my body. I learned, where I could go and what I could do. And then I started, doing that and going and learning how to navigate, how to command things, and, really what the other side is and how I can navigate it myself. And, I've just been doing that ever since.
Amazing. So many questions. I think we could talk about this for hours, really getting into it. But I think, for me, I totally know what you're talking about with that feeling of getting pulled out of your body. And for me, a lot of times it feels like a wave is coming through, and then I'm just kind of taken along with the wave. But I'm curious, especially for those who are also curious about doing this and accessing it. What can you say is like the difference between what we call this realm, like as we're speaking now, and that full out of body realm? How is it different from the astral projection that you mentioned? How is it different from this realm?
Yeah, so astral projection and a full-blown out-of-body experience is drastically different. Same with remote viewing. Remote viewing, you're still pretty conscious here. You're just like training your consciousness to be aware of other things as well. Now, astral projection is a step further from remote viewing, where your consciousness is out and you will fully be present in the moment, but you're not going to be 100% fully there and conscious. Like, you may not be aware that you have a physical body. You may just be moving consciously with your mind. Like, you won't be physically moving. And for the most part in astral projection, you're limited to these lower realms. You can come in contact with ETs because ETs are, around here. But you're not really going to access anything higher than that. And you're just going to be navigating dimensional spaces and kind of like around realm one, and things aren't going to be very clear for you.
Like, is that a bit like dreamlike in that case?
It's more real than a dream. I say in astral projection, you're about 75% fully aware. In a dream state, you're like 35. In a lucid dream, you're about 50%. So it is more real than a dream, but it's just, you are out. It's just completely different than a full-blown out-of-body experience. And there is ways to bring your consciousness from an astral projection state to the full-blown out-of-body experience that, I speak about. But in a full-blown out-of-body experience, if you do this correctly, from start to end, your physical body will be shut down to the point, like your to the point where your electromagnetic field that's generated by your heart is so low, your soul is able to just slip out. And we do this every night when we're in sleep paralysis. Our souls are out, every night. Sometimes when I'm out, I see souls just hovering unconsciously above their bodies and things. So we do this all the time. But in a full-blown out-of-body, your soul is fully out. You can call it your soul, your astral, but whatever you want to call it. But the thing that is inside of this body, making this body come to life and giving life to this body, is fully out. And you will realize it is 100%. It is more physical and real than here. Because when you touch something, you feel the entire chemical makeup of that substance. Because in real life, we never really touch something. The electrons repel each other. So you never actually even really touch anything here in this life. So when you're outside of your body, you're in your soul form, you can actually touch something for the first time. And it's going to feel more real than here. You also have more access to the light spectrum. So you're going to see more colors, more things will appear to you. This is what makes it more real than here, because you're outside of the limitations of these physical bodies. So you're able to perceive in your natural state, So in a full-blown out-of-body experience, it's very similar to a near-death experience in terms of what you can access. You see, it's even, I like to think that a full-blown out-of-body experience is even more grander than a near-death experience, in the aspect that in a near-death experience, it's it's spontaneous. You don't know you're gonna die, and then you're there and you're experiencing all of these things, but you also don't know where you can go, that you're in your complete control of ultimate authority. Now you're gonna experience things, but in a full-blown out-of-body experience, if you're learning under somebody, you'll know, okay, I can do this, I can go there, I can command my space, and you're able to know where you can go and what you can access as a sovereign soul. So that's really the primary difference between astral projection and a full-blown out-of-body experience is consciousness, your level of awareness. In a full-blown OBE, you will be 100% there and present, and it will be more real and physical than waking life here in this realm. Yeah.
This is, I think, one of my favorite definitions and characterizations of the out-of-body experience. It's beautiful. It makes so much sense to me. And it's interesting you mentioned sleep paralysis, because I've heard, especially in men, it seems like, at least anecdotally, that I've heard is they, my husband too, grew up with sleep paralysis, but it was also tied to, he had some out-of-body experiences or astral projection during this sleep, where he went out into space and then back, and then realized that he could kind of pop into anywhere that he wanted, but he was going to stay with his body. So that makes a lot of sense. And I guess that's a question, right? When you come back, what is that, and can you just pop in anywhere?
Yeah, that is a great question, and that's kind of exactly what it would be like if you're just stumbling upon this by yourself, like what I was doing before I sought help or guidance. It takes a long time to figure these things out. Like, it's amazing that he figured out, okay, he can pop into different things. Now, if he would have continued that and progressed, he would have found out more and more and more. And yeah, sleep paralysis happens to a lot of people. I just recently remembered an out-of-body experience I had when I was 8 years old. I was in sleep paralysis in the couch in my mom's living room. I was taking a nap on the couch, and I remembered floating above my body and seeing myself on the couch and things like that. So, and I just remembered that, not recently. Now, when you come back from your body, if you don't know what it is or what it's going on, you won't even have context as to what happened. You will say, oh, wow, well, that was weird, or maybe that was a dream, or I don't know what it is, and a lot of times people will just write it off as a one-off experience. Or they may seek answers, and if you seek answers and then you find somebody like me or somebody speaking about it, it will be like, oh, okay, that's what it is.
You can start to develop that authority you were talking about.
Yeah.
And so when you're out of body, and the amazing thing about this is it's just proof through direct experience, which you talk a lot about, that we are more than the physical body, right? This is an example of it. What can you say to those people who may say, how can you be sure that it's not a amalgamation of mind or some sort of hallucination? What about the out-of-body experiences makes you think that it's not that?
Okay. So, at first, I was even thinking those things. But then when you learn from somebody and you realize the state is real, these things come back to you as a knowing. But for me, personally, what did it for me was when I left my body and I seen my physical body on the bed and I'm touching my hands and I'm like, okay, I really do exist outside of here. There's my physical body. And what's, now
you can't unsee that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's undeniable. It's like, okay, I'm still here. Now, I also, in early on in my experiences, I remember being out of my body and seeing my ex-wife on the bed, and I got a sense of panic because I'm like, oh, she can't see me. Like, I can't communicate with her even if I wanted to. Like, there was a very strong disconnect there. So I'm like, okay, I really am on the other side, and I see her, you see her. You can see things in real time. So like, there's no denying it. I could pop into my neighbor's house and see him making a cup of coffee, and call him up and say, "Hey, were you just making a cup of coffee?" He'd say, "Yeah." And where a lot of people get lost in this misconception that needs to really be cleared up is, there are dimensional spaces. There are things that are curated by your thought form. Those experiences can be subjective. They can. But there is a base reality on the other side. And once you learn this and navigate this, there's things that are unchangeable on the other side. There is a base reality. An example of this is the Halls of Amenti. This is a set place in a different realm. And if you go there, your frequency must align with the frequency of this realm to even access it. You see? And once you're there, there's records there. There's beings there that actually existed, and you'll be there's a record for a whole time period there. Like that, you can't make that up, and that's fixed. It's not going to change. That is an example of a base reality on the other side. And once you get out of here, it just comes to you as a direct knowing that, okay, this is real. And you can't fake energy. And when you're being shown or told something, you understand that, okay, you just know if it's the truth or if it's BS. You can just feel it. Because everything is frequency, energy, and vibration. Truth carries a certain resonance to it. So you'll be able to understand that as you do this more and more. Yeah.
Beautiful. And speaking of the halls of Amenti, and I think what you're saying too is that other people can go to these places because they are like fixed aspects of those realms, those dimensions. And so you start to corroborate everybody else's experience, right? Because you're able to connect in those ways, those different experiences. I'm curious about these different realms. I'm sure this is a question you get a lot. As you start to have out-of-body experiences and you start to be able to navigate outside of this realm, what do you kind of encounter first? What do you learn about the mechanics of being out of body? And then what is possible from there? And you mentioned the white space. I want to come back to that too, where you ended up the first time you came out of body. Where was that?
Yeah. All right, so immediately when you first leave your body, more often than not, you will just be around your physical body, because you're actually feeling the sensation of if you do this consciously, you're going to feel the sensation of your soul coming out of your body. So you will initially just be around your body. Now, you can be out of your body, but in different dimensional spaces where things look a little bit different, but you will be around your body, like in your room. If this is where you were doing it at, you will be around there. And for a long time, that's all I did, was navigate my room, seeing my ex-partner there. You know, some beings came to contact me in my room. I didn't even go with them at first. You know, I was just really learning and fine-tuning the exiting process. This was my main focus for like the first 6 months was just, okay, can I leave my body consciously on command? And then from there, okay, I'm out. Okay, cool. Let me get back in, you know, and let me do it again. So I could just develop this skill for my whole life, right? Because I knew the other side was going to always be there. And at first, I was just navigating my room, seeing things play out, navigating spaces. Like, okay, is this a future event I'm seeing? Is this a real-time event I'm seeing? Can I fly through my roof? Experimenting going up and down my stairs, because that's a cool sensation. Like, everything when you're out of your body is just amazing. Like, the level of freedom that you have is just unbelievable. And then the first time I left, and it becomes real, to answer your question, is when do you discover the mechanics of it and how it works? Well, you will very quickly realize that space and time is an illusion, and it's all frequency based and intention based. And, you know, everything is relative to the frequency of the observer. The first time where I left, you know, the framework of where we are is I actually went through my mirror. Mirrors are portals. I know this may seem far-fetched for some people, but mirrors are, in fact, portals. That is true. And the first time I left this place is I go through my mirror And instantly in my mirror, I'm in what I can best be described as like the firmament. There was water on either side of me. It was solid. There was just so much energy in there. I could just hear the energy of like, it was like hearing the power of all of the oceans on Earth, or like standing next to a real big waterfall, like standing next to Niagara Falls, and just hearing all of that energy and just knowing this is a lot of energy here. And then as I came out the side of this like tunnel, because it was solid on either side of me, I walked for a little bit and it was dark. I walked for a little bit, and on the other side, I came out into this other place. And this place I was at is Neo Soul, where I experienced several different lifetimes of mine, and I spent a long time there. You know, that was like the first time I left, and I was like, okay, I know there's other places here. This is when, and then after that experience, I came back and I was shown the realms. I was shown the realms. Now, how many there are, I don't know. Darius says there's 12. I'm going to go with that. That's in alignment with everything else that I've seen. But I did see they were flashing before my eyes, like boom, boom, boom. And then as I was unpacking this experience later on, I remembered, oh yeah, this realm is made in the image of this realm. This realm is made in the image of that realm, and they're layered.
Are those the same thing as dimensions, or do you think of dimensions and realms differently?
All right, so this is a good question. So realms can be interchanged with dimensions. However, I like to specifically call these places that I'm speaking about realms, because that's how they were taught to me. And this way also makes the most sense as well, because when you understand that these realms are also changeable and malleable in the form of dimensions. So there's other dimensions inside of this realm. But why I say realms can be considered dimensions is because physics says there's 12 dimensions, and if there wasn't, this universe would collapse. Well, really, what they're starting to understand is that this particular creation that we are in, this one universe that we are in, does have 12 layers to it, and these layers can be called realms. You know, but they call them dimensions. But they're inside of these realms. There's also infinite numbers of dimensions in here, and these dimensions can take up the whole space of the realm, or they can be small, and there's just an infinite number. So I like to use the terms realm and dimensions. Dimensions can be inside of realms. Yeah,
makes total sense to me. Love that. And so you're being shown. Who do you think is showing you this initially?
Well, in the experience in Neo Soul, I had one of my spirit guides was there. His name is actually Francis, and I thought this was kind of cool because Sylvia Brown's spirit guide was Francine, and that was like my first introduction, and mine is Francis. At first, he showed me my different lifetimes and stuff, and then after that experience, I just wanted to see more of creation. So I said, I want to see myself going back to my body, and I want to see something, you know, relative to the creation. And then I was shown the realm. So I believe it was my own intention and just the universe changing to the will of my soul. I said, I want to see this. And then it was presented to me in a way that could make sense to me. It was presented to me in layers, like boom, boom, boom. Yeah.
Beautiful. I love the intelligence of those realms. They just know, or there's an intelligence that knows how you best perceive information. It's so cool. So bringing it back to, and I know people will have this question, dealing with fear when it comes to the separation from the body. There's obviously this innate fear of leaving your body because for most of us, this is such a solidified reality, and we're just getting to the point as a species to start to really accept our interdimensionality. And so I'm curious how you dealt with that fear and how you teach others to deal with it.
Yeah, so initially there was a lot of fear around me leaving. Like when I was doing this myself, there was a lot of fear around me leaving. And that fear didn't dissipate until I found somebody else that was doing this and saying, hey, there's nothing to fear. And then I was like, okay, so if you've been doing this for years and you're experiencing the same thing I'm doing and you're telling me there's nothing to fear and you're still here, okay, I'm going to believe you and I'm going to go on and do this. So that's the biggest thing, is just reassuring people that there is nothing to fear. I do this. At one point, I was leaving my body like every week, like 2 or 3 times. And then there was a period of time when I wasn't, and, and now I'm leaving like once a week, I'd say, on average now. So obviously I come back, so
yeah, you're here.
that's what I'm saying. Like, I've done this a lot of times and I come back. Now, that's the first thing, is that and another thing to relieve the fear is telling people, okay, you may experience this. There's tons of different feelings and sensations throughout the process. And that's the biggest thing, is making people feel comfortable and telling them, hey, you may experience this. And I've determined that there's 5 main stages that people feel when trying to induce this consciously. You can feel the strong vibrational phase, which will feel like you're having a seizure. It's not like little vibrations. It is intense vibrations, like your soul teeth will be chattering. And exactly what that is, and why it happens. Or you can wake up in sleep paralysis. Oftentimes that's freaky, and what you'll feel and then how to leave from there. Or you can wake up just already floating above your body. You can become lucid in a dream and leave that way. Or you can become aware in a full-blown out-of-body experience. So preparing people for what lays ahead and things that they may feel. You may feel all of these, or you may feel none of them, but when it happens, be prepared. And the sensation of being out of your body, getting sucked out. And then from there, also giving them commands and assurance that they are their ultimate authority. Nothing can hurt, harm, or touch them unless they believe it can be so. And just teaching them all of these things, it really eliminates the fear. And then another thing that I'm more recently playing with is I've came to the conclusion that a lot of the fear comes at night. Once you get past the fear of leaving the physical body, that's the first hurdle. Okay, I really do exist outside of here. Okay, once you get that, then it's like, okay, yeah, but what about other beings and things like that? Well, that fear really comes in when you're doing it at night, because like you can't see and it's just a little creepy.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
So during the day, which I've been trying to leave during the day, and I got the process down to like 45 minutes to an hour pretty consistently, depending on, the will of my soul and where I'm at that day. And leaving during the day, there is absolutely no fear at all. So people are really just afraid of the dark. You're not really afraid of the other side. You're just afraid of not the dark, really,
That's hilarious.
Yeah,
makes so much sense.
Yeah, so teaching people how to leave during the day makes the whole thing so much easier. Yeah.
There you go. Start training this during the day. Very cool. And so you mentioned intention and belief. How do we use, in your experience, how do we use intention and belief to create? And how is that compounded when you're on the other side? Is it more, I would assume it's more visceral when you're over there.
Yeah. All right. So intention and belief. The best belief system is essentially to have no belief system. Now, when I say no belief system, I mean no expectations, no religious beliefs. Nothing that's really going to confine you or put you into a box. The only thing that you don't even have to believe this. The only thing that you need to know for certainty is that you exist beyond here and that you are your ultimate authority. Those are truths. They're not belief systems. They're just truths. And once you leave your body, you won't believe these things. You will know these things to be 100% true. So when I say the best belief system is no belief system, it is, because you just need to know things for certainty. So take belief out. Don't believe anything. Know things, right? And you do exist outside of here. Leaving your body will prove this to you 100%. Like, I'm not going to try to prove it to anybody that try to prove it through science or anything like that. You just have the experience for yourself, and the belief will go from, and it will go from a belief to a knowing. You see? Now, intention carries you because everything is based off of frequency, energy, and vibration in this universe and creation. Now, how do we control our frequency? Through our thoughts, feelings, and emotions, right? Combined with intention will carry you there, right? So when you align yourself vibrationally to that of which you desire through intention or being somewhere, matching that frequency or the feeling of the place, and then your intention and your spoken word will literally carry you there. Because you are outside of the limitations of the physical body. So you have the ability to do and see anything. And once you understand this and you step into it and step into your ultimate authority and start commanding things, things will open up to you and it will carry you.
Love that. Intention is directional. And I love what you're talking about resonates deeply with me about that experience from belief to knowing. And coming from the science world, I mean, we can look to that, all day long, and there's amazing things happening there. But ultimately, the data point of personal experience and actually having your own witnessing of it is it's the most powerful.
Yeah, then there's nothing to figure out because you just did it, like
there's nothing to understand.
Yeah, it's kind of like, okay, when I ask you to get up and walk, you just walk. You don't need to understand, okay, well, this is how you just do it, Yeah.
Yeah. So cool. And I'd love to talk about entities and beings as well. And I've had a lot of contact with different beings. I find it endlessly fascinating, their capabilities and their interdimensionality. And I'm curious on the other side, how does that connect to contact? Or, I mean, I don't even know, I think disclosure is really a part of the question because it's been disclosed, but I'm curious what your relationship is with other beings on the other side.
Yeah, so there are beings that, I resonate with more, that I've been with before. There's tons of them. And oftentimes people call them guides or something like that. Some people do have people literally helping them in this incarnation, showing them signs and guiding them through this because this is the hardest experience in all of creation. It is very easy to get lost. So those things do exist, but they're more so just your friends from the other side. Now, there's beings like that, and then there's actual high beings. Now, oftentimes, I have a wide range of people that I've came in contact with because you have to understand that we are eternal. We exist outside of time and space, so our connections are infinite as well. So oftentimes, the ETs that come to me, they're ETs that I've actually known before they were even ETs, that like they're just ETs now, Even this goes even back to the Anunnaki, even some of the Seraphims that like all of the beings that I've came in contact with, they've known me and I've known them,
Yeah.
But there are other beings that you don't have like as many experiences with, but everybody knows and is aware of everybody else on the other side. It's just, okay, are you like, imagine being in a classroom, like, everybody in the class, but there's certain people that you have more experiences with. It's kind of like that,
Beautiful. And I'm curious with this experience of going out of your body, being on the other side, and your relationship now to death. I'm curious if that understanding has changed, and if so, in what ways?
Yeah, so death is 100% an illusion. And, and before I was leaving my body, you hear people say this, oh, death is an illusion. And it's very hard to understand that concept. Like, what do you mean? But
100%. Yeah.
But once you leave your body and you see it, like, okay, I literally just shed this body, but I stay the same. then saying that death is an illusion really starts to make sense, and it really is. So if you're listening to this and you haven't had an experience yet, just trust me that it is an illusion. And the process of death does not feel like that. In the physical body, sure, if you're attached to this physical body, it's gonna feel like death because it's not here. But trust me, the process is the same, and you will just stay the same. Like when you leave your body or when you die, you just leave. It's just like you just shed it and you're still there, you're still conscious, and your physical pain is gone, all your suffering's gone, you're just free, and you actually still look the same too immediately. So like your soul will hold the blueprint of your physical body. Now you can change it over time and whatever you want, but initially you will look the same too. So it's just literally like, oh wow, you just pop out of this character and then you're just on the other side. So it really is an illusion. We really don't die. It's almost like playing a video game and having a character in the video game, and then that character dies. And then, okay, the game's over. You get up and stop playing the game. It's like that.
Makes so much sense. And that was my experience in my near-death experience. Was there's so much love there. There's so much understanding, deeply known, and death is familiar. That was the other thing that was kind of weird, unexpected for me, was that feeling that, oh yeah, this is all very, very familiar. And that gives you some peace, and it doesn't feel intimidating or scary. It just feels like change and transition and familiar. So that resonates. I'm also curious about time on the other side, because time is just a lens through which we view this experience. It makes sense, right? That it's different on the other side. Do you find that when you are doing this consciously, that the way time passes over there is very different than how it does when you come back into your body?
Yeah, it is very different. Now, time, the way that we experience here is we have to live through it. Like, we have no choice. If I want to grow my beard out, I can't just think it. So I really have to experience time here, But there, you still experience time. Like, it can feel like you're there for a long time. It can feel like you're there for months, but you don't experience it the same way here. And when we say time is all happening at once, it's really just referring to here, like time, because on the other side, it's like, think of it like a TV. You can rewind, pause, and fast forward the TV. Well, that's like what you can do on the other side when you're viewing things here. Because you're outside of it. You're outside of the template of the game. So now you can see all things at once. But on the other side, time behaves very differently. An example of this is yesterday I was leaving my body. I was trying to leave my body during the day. And in like 45 minutes, because from the time I started to the time I left, like all of this happened in 45 minutes. I was in this vibrational phase and floating above my body. It felt like I was there for like an hour, just trying to escape, just trying to get out, relax my body. It felt like I was there for a long, long, long time. And obviously it took me like 30 or 40 minutes to even get into that state. And then once I was in that state, I was there for a long time. And then I came back and it was only 45 minutes past. And I'm like, time really does feel different there. Now, there is still like a progression of events on the other side. So like you can't experience things before you experience something else, if that makes sense.
That does, yeah.
Like, and this creation is new. Like, it is relatively new. This has never been done before and things like that. But the illusion of time comes in when we're here and we actually have to live through it. Like, you actually have to grow up. You have to live through time. This is the only place where like that happens, is this creation where like you actually have to like live through time and experience it like that. Yeah.
Interesting. So there's still a sequence of events on the other side, but it's not necessarily limited to what we experience as very rigid time that the body is really tied to.
Yeah, and also it's like, and on the other side, you can go through time. Like you can remember your past. You can remember your present. You know, you can kind of skip through things, but there is like a sequence of events for sure. Even in your out-of-body experience, think about it like in an out-of-body experience, first you'll be in your room, then you'll be there, and then you'll be there, you know? So you do experience things, and it feels like time because, like, in an out-of-body experience, you can be gone for what felt like a day, you can be gone for what felt like a week. In one experience, I felt like I was gone for months, and then you come back and only a couple minutes passed, you know, because it's the amount of information. Yeah, it's the amount of information that you gather gives you the sensation of experience in time here. Yeah.
Wow. Are there rules on the other side? You know, because I can imagine this ability that you're activating, that people can activate, gives you insight and access in ways that we don't have in the physical form. So is there like morals on like who you peek in on and or is it kind of like up to you?
Yeah, ultimately it is up to you. Like you can leave your body and peek on anybody, but like everything is known on the other side. So like everything that you're doing, like everybody knows. Like there is no hiding. Like here in humans, you can think, oh, nobody knows I'm gonna do this, so let me go and do it, you know? But everything is known on the other side. You can't hide anything. So like when you're leaving your body, if you want to go do something, like it stays on your permanent record. Like everybody knows who you are, but there is no judgment. You're just, you know, it's just like, all right, like this is what this guy wants to do. It's just like, all right, you know, you probably wouldn't do that. Now, and when I say everything is relative to the frequency of the observer, it is. This is why authenticity, integrity, and unconditional love and authenticity will be the highest vibration. A combination of those three things will unlock everything for you. And what is integrity? Integrity is just because I can leave my body and come to Crystal Cassidy's house and see what she's doing doesn't mean I will, you know, because that's integrity. I respect your privacy here because we're still in this experience together, you know. And now unconditional love is another high frequency because love is the actual frequency on the other side, but it's not unconditional love like we would perceive it here. It just the feeling of no judgment and just being good and just positive and just caring and loving for everybody, but also standing in your ground and your authentic self. And then I say authenticity because you actually have to be these things. You actually have to be integrity and unconditional love. You can't just fake it because it's a vibration. It's a state of being. But there are no rules in that aspect. But when I say everything is relative to the frequency of the observer, it is because in realm 5, for example, in the heavenly realm, your thoughts can manifest instantly. Now, if you're in this space, would you want to be in this space with somebody who has some crazy thoughts or that's just like really demented? Probably not. And they're not even going to be there because their vibration won't align with it.
That was going to be my next question. Yeah. With certain experiences, even I wonder if initially coming out of your body requires a certain frequency minimum of some sort to access to be able to go into those realms.
In the other realms, yeah, but initially you can leave your body and be here
any
in realm
frequency.
1. Yeah, and be here in realm 1 and any frequency. In realm 1 is the realm of duality. We have the extremes playing out here, good and evil, dark and light, you know, forgetfulness and remembrance. It's the extremes. You can have heaven or you can have hell here on earth. And it's the same thing out of your body. So this is in this realm, you can be any frequency. You see, and this is why when I was first leaving my body, I didn't even really leave my house, because like anything is possible here. You could be walking and step into a dimensional space of somebody's thought forms that were crazy and be like, what is this? What am I seeing? Or you can step into a dimensional space and be in somebody's heaven and be like, oh, wow, this is beautiful. So
interesting.
And my first goal was to be like, all right, I got to get out of here. Let me just go to a higher place. And that's what I did. Yeah.
Beautiful. And I'm very curious about the realms as well, but maybe before we get into that, what do you think the purpose of this reality is that we're in?
Yeah. The purpose of this reality is to experience what it's like to have limitations, to experience what it's like to come into forgetfulness. Because think about this. If we are on the other side and outside of these physical bodies, we have the abilities of what one would call God. When you think of God in the Bible, somebody that has the ability to create universes, to love everybody, to answer everybody's prayers, to be infinite and everywhere all at once, that is you and who you are outside of this physical body. It just is. Now, if you're that all the time, you never know what it's like to not be that. So are you truly going to be able to appreciate your divinity, or even know that you have all of these powers and divine and divinity within you? No, because that's all you know. So that just becomes the norm. Now, when you come into here in forgetfulness and you have limitations, you miss that. Like, we all miss it. And it's like, damn, this is hard, you know? And then when you go back, it gives you a whole nother perspective to it. It gives you a whole nother perspective. And then that feeling from coming from here to there is so great. That's why when we return, we're like, oh my God, it was so much love and just so profound. But that's our natural state. And you wouldn't even have that realization or appreciation for the other side if it was not for this experience, because you would have been there and you would have never left that. You see, to appreciate a sunny day, you must have experienced a rainy day. You see, so it's kind of like that. And this is the first creation of its kind. This is the only one of its kind where you come into complete forgetfulness, where you have to be born into and die to get out of, particularly this human experience that we are in now. Not just this one creation, this universe, but particularly this human life that we are in now is the only place where it takes place to this degree. So and it adds, let me say this too, it adds so much to your soul. When you run into a soul or a being that has never had a human incarnation, their interactions are, not all of them, some of them are advanced, but their interactions will be off. If like they've never been in this creation or construct, their interactions are going to be off. Yes,
because they don't understand.
Yeah, they're this almighty being and things like that, but they don't interact the way that we do, and it's weird. So this adds
such a good point.
A whole nother dimension to you. This experience.
That's such a good point.
Yeah.
If there are beings that have not had a physical experience, there's something lost in translation. It's like they just don't have the context. That totally resonates in my experience. So walk us through the realms that you can experience.
Yeah, so initially when you come out of here, this is like realm 1. This is like the earthly realm. Now, as you go up, the next realm closest to us would be the extraterrestrial realm. This is where the ETs come from. They're the closest things to humans. And they can actually lower their frequency and come in here, and that's what they do. Now the realm above that would be the ancient, and I say above, they really all take up the same space inside of this creation. They're just separated by frequency. And as we go back in time and history, you also go back into the realms. So like realm 3 would be the ancient Egyptian or Atlantis time period, because it was one thing. When you go to this place, it's watery, it's lush. Especially if you go to ancient Egypt during this time, or Egypt, Cairo, in this time, it's going to be lush.
Yeah,
and
I've seen that.
And trees are going to be there, So, and that's what Atlantis was depicted as. And like the Eye of the Sahara, where they say, oh, this looks like Plato's account of Atlantis, because it was, it is. So that time period was Atlantis, and it was a whole time period. And then a couple realms above that would be like the heavenly realm. I've been there. Now that's where I was in that first experience. I was in my heaven. That
Gotcha.
white place. It was an amazing feeling. And there, you're outside of birth and you're outside of death, and your thoughts can manifest instantly. It's a very pleasant and high frequency vibration there. It's complete bliss there and there. And then you go up a little bit more. The Seraphim realm, and there's a couple layers above that. And Darius is the one that he mapped out all of these realms and numbered them. So, thank you to him for doing that. But the ones that I've been to is the Seraphim realm, and I actually got brought there. Like I wasn't going to discover this on my own. Like there's a lot of stuff going on here, and like to get there,
you were escorted.
There. Yeah, I was brought there the first time, and then so that's the realms, and inside of these realms, there's also dimensional spaces. Like an example of this is when I leave my body, I see one of my friends who passed away, and he's always in realm 1 in like another dimension of it. And he's just like replaying human type experiences that like he likes to do. Like every time I'm there, I see him, he's having a party, and just like in this realm, in this like earthly type of template, like that's just what he likes to do and experience. Yeah.
Is that reincarnation or
no, it's not reincarnation. So you're in your soul form, you don't die. There's tons of these. Robert Monroe called them consensus realities, I believe. And you're not in an incarnation, but you do stay there. Some of them don't remember that they're an eternal soul, but they did pass away after this human life, and they're just there in these other spaces, just having experiences. And then once they have enough and they let go, they will merge back to the infinite again and have access.
Makes me wonder about the yogis talk about this causal realm that it's lifelike, and you experience, yourself and similar things, but it's also different in ways, and you're in your energetic experience more so than the physical. I wonder if that's connected.
Yeah, there's tons of places like that, and every area has like their own. Like in China, for an example, like they're going to be living in buildings and things kind of like they did in their real life. Like it's almost as if what's really going on here, people experience these temporarily and they come back and say, oh, there's this. But what's really going on here is people die and they have attachments to here, and they're not ready to fully let go. So they experience these things until they're ready, because everything is relative to you. And once you're ready to open up and let go, you will. You see, that's really what's going on. Yeah.
What do you think ghosts are then in this context?
Yeah, ghosts are, so we operate on the visible light spectrum, and ghosts is when people see ghosts, they are real in a sense, because what you're seeing is a being on the other side that's just tapping into this light spectrum. And at first, if you're not completely on that frequency, it's going to appear hazy or ghost-like. But as you raise your vibration and you're fully there on that same vibration of the light spectrum, they will appear physical. So that's what you're seeing. And I know this because when I'm leaving my body, sometimes I'll be raising my soul hand, and depending on the frequency or how much I cross over, my physical hand will appear invisible or see-through like a ghost. And I'll be like, okay, I need to relax a little bit more and raise my frequency before I leave. And then once I leave, it will be physical. So that's exactly what's going on there with ghosts, Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, they seem to be tied to this realm in some way, that there's some sort of attachment, compulsion, or pattern. At least in the ones that I've come across. So I've always found that fascinating. What do you think is happening with humanity right now? It seems like there's an acceleration of waking up. I think we both can feel that. There's a shift that's obviously happening. In the context of your out-of-body experiences and the work that you do, what do you think is going on with humanity right now?
Yeah, right now we are in the time of disclosure where things are being revealed to humanity in an attempt to really wake them up. This is apparent with the UFO files being released, disclosure in that way. People are waking up having out of body experiences, saying, "Hey, the other side is real." And the other side is revealing things as if it's happening now. So when they say this is the greatest time to be here in all of humanity, it really is, and it's going to get more and more exciting to be here now. Like in the oncoming years, it's going to be very exciting to be here. Things are going to be happening and being revealed, and things are going to start opening up again. It's just, this is 100% true, and now it's going to a point where now people aren't just having these experiences and saying, "Hey, it exists. I know we're still in this life and things are boring and mundane, but trust me, we exist outside of here." No, now you're going to start seeing it in your life. Things are going to start happening. Like, oh, ETs are real. Like, okay, things are going to start showing up here and being undeniable that these things are true and real. Yeah.
Yeah. ETs are real. It's very exciting, and I've been personally feeling that as well. Is this budding acceleration of excitement, and I don't know exactly what that's tied to, but it does feel like a very exciting time, and I am optimistic because of that. Even though there's some intensity in the experience as well. But we ask all of our guests a lightning round of questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Yeah.
So the first question is, what is one belief that you've held that you no longer hold?
One belief that I've held that I no longer hold. Well, there's a lot of them. That,
I figured.
I didn't know what happened when we get out of here. Now I know. I didn't, when I was younger, I didn't believe that I could create my reality. I believed that I had to live in the matrix and do all of these things. That's not true. We can honestly create our reality. I used to think all of these things were just stories and made up. I used to believe mythical creatures weren't real, dragons weren't real. They are. I used to believe in dinosaurs. I used to believe in the history that we were told. I know that's a lie. I used to believe in space. I was an aerospace engineer. I now understand that everything, space and time, is an illusion and everything is frequency based. The list goes on.
I love that. I guess that was probably the case. Beliefs tend to dissolve, as you say, as you move into knowing. What is consciousness in your experience?
Terms. I don't like putting terms on things because terms puts a preconceived notion inside people's head. But consciousness is just, the way I would explain it is, it's just you. It's who you are outside of here. You can't say you are consciousness. You are a soul. You are pure energy and consciousness. Like, that's just what you are, and that's what gives this body life, is your consciousness. And we all come from the same ultimate consciousness, which would be source, and we're all having our own individual experiences. It's like, if consciousness was, the source of consciousness was the ocean, we would all be individual cups of that ocean. So that's what I would say. Conscious, it's who
Beautiful.
you. It's who you are. Yeah.
What is source, God, or oneness to you?
It's all that is, all that ever will be. It's not a specific entity or being. It is part of all of us, and we are a part of it, and we can all tap into it at any given time. It's just like this field of all things. When you are there, you are everything. All time, all space, you are everything. It's not the way humans depict it, as the person that created this universe and put us here and made us, and it's much bigger than that, and it goes a lot farther out than just this one creation.
And if it were 100 years in the future on this planet, what would you hope for humanity?
Well, See, I can't hope because I know what will be. But yeah, in 100 years from now, things will be opened up, and it will not be life as we know it here. It will be completely different. It will be as if in like realm 3 when everything was opened up, beings, heaven on earth, essentially. You can say that. That's where we will be. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Andre. Where can people find you if they want to connect deeper?
Yeah. I have a YouTube. I have Instagram. I have a website. Go to my website. All my links are there. There's a members only portal. Work with me one-on-one. All of that can be found on my website.
Beautiful. Well, this has been really, really fun for me. I think there's a lot that we covered here today. So I deeply appreciate you, Andre, your wisdom, your time. Thank you for journeying with us today.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure. It was fun.
Absolutely. And until next time, light beings, we'll see you soon. Thank you for journeying with us today, light being. We hope you enjoyed the episode. And before you go, we want to invite you to explore the SoulPod app, where you can immerse yourself in daily lessons, guided meditations, and breath work to develop a soul-nourishing daily ritual and tune back into your own inner guidance system. You can download SoulPod in the App Store or directly from the show notes to start your free trial today and awaken the ancient wisdom within you.